Nigeria is currently buckling under the weight of economic challenges like double-digit inflation and skyrocketing youth unemployment. To escape these difficulties, get-rich-quick schemes like gambling are now a go-to alternative for many Nigerians. But beyond the allure of betting, there are untold stories of addiction and mental health challenges suffered by gamblers. Just Nigeria's Abayomi Adisa has been x-raying this multi-billion naira industry, and these are his findings.
It seems like a fast, fun, and easy way to make quick money, and at the heart of it are young stars.
Sometimes I even wonder whether people go to work.
In a depressed economy, some Nigerians find gambling a sure ticket to a daily meal.
A monthly 10 million, 15.
But embedded within this game of chance is an untold story of pain, anguish, and serious addiction.
Gambling addiction in Nigeria is a big concern.
All my NYC allowance, everything was diverted to this betting.
Many plunge into huge financial losses and become inconsolably devastated.
People often lose and won't have to lie.
We have seen it affect people who get addicted into it by having anxiety, depression, and to the extent taking their own lives.
I've wanted to kill myself like 10 times because I had no hope.
So, how does an industry that promotes hope seem to be pushing punters to the edge? And how is society protecting them? Gambling is legal in Nigeria, and football rules the sports betting market. Many gamblers say the urge to bet is overpowering. In 2019, National Pollster NY Polls estimated that about 60 million Nigerians between ages 18 and 40 years engaged in gambling. This population is bigger than that of Ghana, Republic of Benin, and Togo combined. A 2016 report by an accounting firm, KPMG, showed that one of the leading sports betting companies in Nigeria recorded a monthly turnover of $10 million, an equivalent of 7,645,500,000 naira today. Nigeria is the second largest online gambling market in Africa after South Africa. The Nigerian Data Protection Bureau says government generates more than 730 billion naira from the gaming industry yearly. Paul manages a betting shop in Akure, the Ondo State capital, where he claims to sometimes record a daily turnover of 10 million naira when business peaks, an equivalent of $13,600.
Look at the tickets on the floor. People came to play them.
The bet is usually a promise to win huge sums of money.
Now it has become like a source of living for some people, and I think it's generally because of the level of poverty, around, and the fact that quite a number of people are unemployed.
Solomon, not his real name, was an undergraduate when he started gambling in 2015. As a student, he had a small printing business on campus. He staked 500 naira on the game and won 95,000 naira in less than 24 hours. He says that first win endeared him to sports betting.
I started sticking with bigger amounts, maybe like 75,000 naira, 150.
But for several months, the odds were against him.
I just kept on losing and losing. But in 2016, so I stake a game then with 55,000 naira. Then I was able to, I won 350,000 naira.
Little did Solomon know that it was the last time he would win. In 7 years, he claims to have lost everything.
In 7 years, I've lost up to 8 million naira.
Solomon says he is broke and broken.
The money that I've kept as in like for my marriage then, I also divide this money into betting. That even ruin my life, it ruin my relationship then. So the marriage couldn't work.
Today, he can hardly afford a decent meal, and his living situation seems to tell the tale of a 31-year-old who lost all he had while trying to find luck.
What I always think of is just like maybe to kill myself. I always think of suicide.
While punters engage in what they think is a pastime, they gradually slip into its dark side. The desperation to win back money lost keeps them going back again and again. And like Solomon, some might never be able to recover their losses. Not setting betting limits means people can risk it all.
Mo ti rí issue tó yẹ pé ìyẹn lọ school ó làkùngbà ó dẹ̀ wá bíbá ẹ̀.
I've seen an issue where an undergraduate going to school while waiting for a bus to get filled up left the park and came here to bet his school fees. He lost everything. Sold his phone right here for 60,000 naira and betted everything. After losing it all, he begged me to give him his fare back home. He was going to lie to his parents that he was robbed.
Padà sílé pé ó máa lọ parọ́ fún wọn pé àwọn 419 gbà wọn.
In a particular online forum, gambling addicts share troubling stories while some express suicidal thoughts. While people like them and Solomon may be struggling with their mental health, some others have actually killed themselves. In December 2021, an Abuja-based man committed suicide after he lost 150,000 naira to sports betting. In May 2023, an undergraduate in Ogun State committed suicide after losing his school fees and that of his friend to online gambling.
Betting companies are required to prevent harm, but there are repeated instances where they have allowed losses that some punters can never afford, with celebrity endorsements, quick access to corner shops, and of course online platforms. Nigerians bet 24 hours a day. Experts say this unrestricted access to gambling interface is making some punters vulnerable.
So many people that are called influencers today, all they just do is to create awareness for a brand, a product, and they don't necessarily use the brand.
So, what goes on in a punter's mind? Dr. Maymunah Kadri, a consultant neuropsychiatrist, provides an insight.
Every individual that is gambling goes through stages, from initial experimental use to when it leads to regular use, meaning that they have to increase the number of times they do the gambling, then to risking their life, risking their relationship, risking everything around them. Then the fourth one is problematic use, neglecting every other thing, having law enforcement related issues, having problems with productivity, losing their job. Then dependency, neglecting every other thing around them and focusing on this addiction. And you find out that some of them are now in solitude. They are not even talking to people. They may even be depressed. They may even be having other physical illness before the last stage, which is addiction.
As of today, there are no official statistics of gambling addicts in Nigeria, just as there are no specialist treatment centers for them. Most people with gambling-related issues like Solomon go unrecognized and untreated. They are stuck in a world that offers them a mixed dose of hope and risk. Bingbe Akingba is the Executive Secretary, Association of Nigerian Bookmakers, the trade organization for sports betting companies in Nigeria.
Gambling addiction, and we know that that happens. There's nothing that I see that is being done regarding that from the regulators.
Nigeria's gambling industry lacks harmonized regulations, and when punters suffer psychological breakdowns, they are left in the cold.
Majorly, the regulators are focused right now on revenue generation. There's the power tussle between the federal and the states. If we don't harmonize that, how do you want to make rules that you'll be able to enforce across board?
Lanre Gbajabiamila heads Nigeria's National Lottery Regulatory Commission. He says his commission embarks on advocacy campaigns and that efforts are underway to promote responsible gambling.
We also are about to launch our own independent KYC platform that will also be monitoring all these behavioral tendencies, and also to make sure there's no fraudulent player using their payment wallet to do certain things.
Away from Nigeria, high-profile fines were recently levied against gambling operators in the United Kingdom for failing to protect people at risk. Earlier this year, the country announced planned mandatory levy on betting companies to pay for treatment of betting addicts, stake limits for online slots, among others. Such protective regulations are still far-fetched in Nigeria. At the moment, the scanty help available to gambling addicts is more of charity. No sports betting company under the law is mandated to treat them.
I'm not aware that we have something in place where you could limit the number of time or the amount of money that you use on betting, especially for some category of people.
It is not clear whether Nigeria, like the UK, plans to mandate betting companies to treat gambling addicts as part of their obligations to society.
The regulators should be seen to be at the forefront of this, at least in your own way, is in the laws, again, coming together to have an harmonized laws, and then that way the operators can see the seriousness through the regulators.
With authorities at the backseat of protecting the mental health of vulnerable punters, Dr. Maymunah shares self-help tips for those in their need.
When you start lying, when you start stealing, when you start affecting your relationship, when law issues are involved, you know there is a problem. Acknowledge there is a problem. And in acknowledging that problem, you can start with this setting limits. You can speak to trusted family members and friends and let them, weigh it out. If there are people that they can talk to and they will create a safe space for you to talk to them without judging you.
Solomon has decided to rebuild his life. Though he hasn't got any therapy, he hopes not to relapse. This is the second time in 1 year that he will be making such a decision. He describes his way to recovery as cold and lonely, but hopes that the grey skies will clear soon for him and other Nigerians struggling with gambling addiction. Abayomi Adisa, Gist Nigeria.